All right, let's jump right in. Quick question for you. When you hear the name Casio, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's G-Shock, right? That chunky, practically indestructible watch that completely changed the game for timepieces. And with over 160 million units shipped, it is an absolute juggernaut of a global success story. But here's the really fascinating thing we're unpacking in today's explainer. Relying on just one massive hit product, even one as iconic as G-Shock, is actually incredibly dangerous for a company's long-term survival. I mean, think about it. Consumer tastes shift, smartwatches flood the market, and suddenly your biggest strength, it becomes your biggest vulnerability.
And that brings us to the core of today's lesson, perfectly captured by this quote. A company cannot keep growing simply by protecting one successful product. It's a classic paradox, right? How exactly does a legacy brand protect its golden goose while at the exact same time building completely new engines for growth? Well, the source material we're digging into today lays out exactly how Casio is pulling this off. And honestly, it's a total masterclass in corporate resilience.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to explore the hidden dangers of a single hit, dive into Casio's brilliant two-track strategy, look at the really tough choices of resource reallocation, see how they're recombining old skills for the future, and then wrap up with the ultimate business lesson you can apply to almost anything.
Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, the danger of one hit and the risk of a single franchise.
For decades, Casio poured its heart, its soul, and its budget into G-Shock. But when you lean entirely on one franchise, you run the risk of believing that one winner is all you need forever. Luckily for Casio, their core DNA was never just about watches. Look at their timeline. They started way back in 1946, and by 1957, they had commercialized the world's very first compact all-electric calculator. G-Shock? That didn't even launch until 1983. Their true identity has always been about using original thinking to invent conveniences that just don't exist yet. So sitting back and just protecting their legacy watches, that was never going to be an option for them.
Which brings us to Section 2, the two-track strategy, balancing volume versus margin.
To secure their future, Casio didn't just start throwing random trendy products at the wall to see what stuck. Instead, they got highly strategic. They assigned two distinct jobs to two very different watch lines. On one hand, you have G-Shock. Its job is to raise brand equity and drive profit margins with premium models and limited editions. But on the other hand, you have the standard Casio watch line. Its job is entirely different. Expand unit sales and bring new, younger customers and a global audience into the Casio ecosystem. Because these two tracks serve totally different purposes, they actually support each other rather than cannibalizing each other's sales.
Let's break this down a bit more because it's super clever. The standard Casio watch line, which people in Japan affectionately call chippukashi or cheap Casio, is not positioned as disposable junk. It's actually an accessible entry point with massive retro appeal. While G-Shock competes on extreme toughness and status, the standard Casio watch competes on simplicity and affordability, and it is a massive global hit. I mean, even figures like Bill Gates and the Pope have been spotted wearing them. It just goes to show that choosing practical value over flashy, expensive status is actually a really confident, stylish choice that resonates worldwide.
And honestly, this perfectly captures a major shift in how we're all living right now. Smartwatches are amazing, sure, but frankly, they can be exhausting. They demand daily charging, they vibrate constantly with notifications, and consumers are just dealing with intense screen fatigue. Today, a lot of people just want a calm, quick way to check the time. They want a break from all that excessive digital convenience. And a classic retro Casio watch delivers exactly that.
So, you're probably wondering, does combining a high-margin G-Shock with a high-volume standard Casio actually work in the real world? Absolutely. Just take a look at this number, a 23.1% operating margin for the watch business in the first quarter. That's huge. That number helped drive the company to record first-quarter profits. Both lines saw double-digit growth year over year. They didn't just sell more units. They perfectly balanced their product mix to dramatically boost profitability.
Moving right along to Section 3, the power of reallocation and exiting for the future.
Now, to fund all this future growth, Casio had to make some seriously tough choices. I'm talking about exiting major markets like digital cameras, mobile phones, and printers once smartphones really took over. From the outside, abandoning those markets might look like defeat. But Casio's leadership viewed it through the lens of strategic capital allocation. Basically, that's the deliberate choice to move your limited cash, your best people, and your management's attention toward areas with much greater future value. Because listen, if you try to protect every dying business equally, you're just going to starve your most promising new projects.
And that
perfectly sets up Section 4, recombining skills for tomorrow, which is the next frontier.
When a company exits a big business unit like printers, what happens to all those brilliant engineers and the tech they built? You don't just throw them away. Actually, scratch that. You definitely don't throw them away. You use what's called capability recombination. This means breaking an old business down into its reusable skills and then recombining them to solve a totally new customer problem. The question changes from what product did we used to sell to what capabilities did we become unusually good at?
Get ready for this, because this is wild. Meet Moflin. Yes, Casio, the rugged G-Shock and calculator company, has developed a furry AI companion robot. While most AI today is judged on physical tasks or data processing, Moflin's value is purely emotional. Casio recognized another massive shift in customer behavior and tensions, things like stress, constant busyness, and loneliness. So Moflin doesn't hear your choice. It's designed to be a calming presence, and its personality and emotional responses actually develop over time based on how you interact with it.
But how on earth does a watchmaker build a lifelike robotic pet? Well, this is capability recombination in action. Remember those discontinued Casio printers we talked about? Printers require engineers who are absolute wizards at fitting components into tiny spaces and precisely controlling small motors for smooth, physical movement. Casio took that exact legacy printer engineering and applied it to Moflin to give it those lifelike, expressive robotic gestures. They literally turned obsolete printer tech into an AI pet. It's brilliant.
Which brings us to our final takeaway, Section 5, the ultimate business lesson, moving talent toward tomorrow.
Look, this explainer isn't just about cool watches and robot pets. It's a blueprint for almost any industry. If you want sustainable growth, here is the 4-step masterclass framework we pull from Casio. Step 1, strengthen your core product to protect your margin and brand equity. That's your G-Shock. Step 2, create accessible entry points to drive volume and grab new customers. That's your standard Casio watch. Step 3, be ruthless about reallocating capital away from declining businesses. And step 4, transform your past capabilities into completely new customer value. Just like turning printers into Moflin, you have to convert yesterday's technology into tomorrow's solutions.
So, I want to leave you with a provocative question drawn straight from today's source material. If you manage this brand portfolio, where would you place your bets? Would you invest more in the high-margin cultural icon of G-Shock? More in the high-volume, retro appeal of the standard Casio watch? Or would you allocate your resources completely differently? Think about the business you work in right now. Do you have a clear 2-track strategy, or are you just protecting one successful product? It's definitely something to think about.
なぜ売れるなぜ選ばれるそこにはちゃんと理由があるプロダクトプライスプレイスプロモーション 4B 売れる理由をデザインしよういい商品だけじゃ届かない安いだけでも続かないどこで出会ってどう伝える全てつながり価値になるプロダクト何を届けるプライスいくらで届けるプレイスどこで出会うプロモーションどう伝える一つじゃない全部が大事 4B 揃えてブランドになる同じ商品同じ価格同じ売り方じゃ